It's very interesting which things end up being important for this kind of creating this sense of presence and which don't.
Yeah, okay. Well, my question is that, you know that the materials that they made the cone heads with, are those edible?
Ryan's trying to get out of it now. He's trying to get out of the lawsuit, and they're like, you are a key part of this. This is...
In a world where image is everything, where perception outweighs truth and glitter hides the cracks beneath, few stories hit the public with as much force and irony as the unraveling of Hollywood's golden couple. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, the darlings of the red carpet, the Instagram flirts, the couple everyone else measured their own love against, are no longer basking in untouchable adoration. Something has shifted, something deep. And Joe Rogan, brash, unapologetic, polarizing, was one of the first to call it out, loudly. He wasn't in a suit behind a news desk. He wasn't under studio lights reading from a teleprompter. He was just a man watching a fight with friends, chomping on snacks, letting the truth tumble from his mouth without any PR polish. But sometimes, the rawest voices carry the most unsettling truths. And this time, he wasn't just voicing an opinion. He was cracking open a carefully constructed illusion. To Rogan, the lawsuit that Blake Lively filed against actor-director Justin Baldoni wasn't a cry for justice. It was a calculated move, a high-stakes chess piece placed at the center of a much larger game, one that didn't seem to be about protection or healing, but about power, control, dominance over a film set and a narrative. Rogan's voice cut through the noise like a knife, blunt, unforgiving, as he posed the question nobody else dared to utter out loud. What if Blake weaponized the very same movement built to protect survivors? What if Me Too had become her personal PR tool? The silence that followed that question was deafening, because that's what makes it all so sinister, when movements meant to uplift the voiceless become tools in the hands of the powerful, when someone who has always had the microphone, the money, the agency, picks up a cause as a costume and wears it just long enough to get their way. Rogan called it exactly that. And suddenly, all those cute tweets and couple selfies between Ryan and Blake began to feel choreographed. Each public appearance, too perfect. Each red carpet moment, too well-timed. He wasn't accusing, he was wondering aloud. But his words had the weight of a wrecking ball. According to Rogan, the Lively Reynolds empire was built not on authenticity, but on marketing. Every tweet, every casual quote, every adorable jab at each other was part of a campaign. Soft power masked in charm. He didn't even blink when he said it. The whole world saw them as the couple of the decade, but Rogan saw through it all. The marriage, the mystique, even the silence. Especially the silence. Because while Blake had become the woman everyone wanted to emulate, and Ryan the man every guy wanted to befriend, their silence when it came to the real accusations, the serious ones, was louder than any joke Ryan could write. The timing of their smiles, the subtle shifts in their social media interactions, it all seemed suddenly, disturbingly precise. And then came the deeper cuts. Rogan pointed out how Ryan's charisma had become his armor. He was Deadpool in real life, deflecting with jokes, redirecting with charm, skating past the messy parts by serving up just enough self-deprecating wit to stay relatable. But in Hollywood, being funny doesn't make you honest. And as the tension around the lawsuit thickened, Rogan asked the world to consider something darker. What if Ryan's branding wasn't just business savvy? It was survival instinct. What if their whole relationship, the one we all praised and adored, was a living, breathing ad campaign? The internet didn't wait long to take sides. Within hours, fandoms exploded. Defenders swarmed in to shield Blake, to praise her grace, her professionalism, her elegance. But something was different this time. Something was colder. Even the diehards hesitated. Maybe it was exhaustion, or maybe it was that people had started to see through the glitz. Rogan's words had already become a fire starter, and others in the industry felt the heat. When Hugh Jackman, Ryan's longtime friend and off-screen comedic foil, posted a cryptic message about loyalty and truth, the world noticed. He didn't name names. He didn't have to. The message landed like a quiet thunderclap, and fans dissected every word. Jessica Chastain rose in defense of Blake, issuing a passionate call to stop tearing successful women down. Dwayne Johnson liked a tweet defending Blake, adding another layer of mystery to where alliances truly lay. It was no longer just about the lawsuit. It was about the fault lines beneath Hollywood itself. One brave content creator, herself a victim of social media suppression, stepped forward with her own truth. She had experienced the subtle force of the algorithm being turned against her. She had watched her reach vanish, her content disappear, her platform crumble in silence. And she believed Blake Lively's team may have been doing the same to critics, erasing posts, burying voices, reshaping perception by erasing dissent. Even numbers didn't lie. Blake's Instagram had reportedly bled followers, over 1 million, since August. 1 million eyes that had once worshipped her were now gone. And with the timing suspiciously close to her legal filings, the numbers painted a bleak portrait of public trust quietly decaying. And still, the questions kept multiplying. Why had the harassment story faded? Where was the media attention that once echoed so loudly when these claims were made? Was it because, at the heart of it, the evidence was paper thin? Or because the narrative had begun to turn against its author? Justin Baldoni's response wasn't quiet. It came with a storm of receipts, messages, documents, texts, all painting a very different picture of their relationship. They weren't adversaries, not at first. They were collaborators, friendly, even flirty. The kind of messages that make you wonder how fast affection can turn to accusation. And maybe that's what made it all so unsettling. It wasn't just about what was said, it was about what was missing. The carefully redacted statements, the selective memory, the way entire conversations were snipped down to serve a headline. Rogan was right to point it out, because this wasn't about one woman. This wasn't even about one couple. It was about the entire machinery of Hollywood and how easily it can turn fiction into fact, emotion into strategy, and truth into collateral. And so the world watches, helpless, fascinated, as the illusion splinters. Ryan and Blake remain silent, their social media feeds scrubbed clean, their public appearances controlled to the frame. But silence is not neutral. Silence is a decision, a gamble, a hope that time will make the world forget. But time doesn't forget. It waits. And if the world has learned anything from the last few years, it's that silence can rot even the most beautiful veneers. Because what's left when the spotlight fades and the audience sees through the smoke? Maybe, just maybe, Joe Rogan wasn't just throwing shade. Maybe he was holding up a mirror. And no one, especially not Hollywood's golden couple, wants to see what's really staring back.